What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Talk to our guy, Nick Underhill from neworleans.football, the premier Saints resource. You can go subscribe to neworleans.football. I've been a Pride subscriber for years. They've had all the coverage throughout this entire coaching Saints search, one that has many twists and turns. Nick, you just pulled into the parking lot of Prax and Mobile. How are we feeling about Senior Bowl week?
Cold, man. I wish it was a little bit warmer than it is right now. It's going to be an interesting week, I think, for the Saints. I can't imagine they'll have any of their execs here because they're up in Philly right now. So, I mean, I imagine they won't be here today. We'll see tomorrow. But a different feel. I mean, usually there's kind of like the whole contingent out here, all the coaches, every single person in the organization, it feels like it is out at the Senior Bowl. And I think this year it's probably just going to be the Scots unless they fly down here later today.
So I want to ask you about a few things. The first, so Joe Brady says no. At the time, I said, functionally, it's kind of not that big of a deal, right? Because you still have options, you still have guys that lay unimpeded. Like, it's one person. It is kind of whatever. But symbolically, it did cause a lot of reflection upon, okay, how are these Saints actually viewed amongst NFL circles, right? Like, how's the front office? How's the organization viewed now in a post-Tom Benson, post-Sean Payton sort of era? Have you gotten to the bottom of that answer yet?
I think it's an ego hit is really kind of, is how I would put it. I think it's an ego hit if you're the organization, because when you come out, your public messaging is, it's all good. Everybody's wrong. We're not that far away. Get healthy. Everything's all good. Got an attractive job. Don't need to sell it to anybody. And you can sit there and you can say all that stuff to the media and to the fans, and kind of dismiss them as they're too stupid to see the truth or whatever. Like, and I don't think that's the exact wording, but like that's kind of oh well, these people can be ignored. They don't know anything. Well, when it's Aaron Glenn, who's been in your building and he doesn't want to come down and do your second interview. And when it's Joe Brady, who's been in your building and he doesn't want to come down and do your second interview, I do think there is some sort of value in that opinion that you can't just ignore. It's a quality of opinion that can't just be dismissed as, get these idiots out of here. And I think that's something that you kind of got to take a look at. And even with AG, I think it makes sense. Hey, if you can reconcile Woody Johnson as your owner, more cap space, better roster, it makes sense to kind of go there. Joe Brady just saying thanks, but no thanks to coming down here. I think that's a little bit of a hit. And I think you have to take it on the chin. On the flip side of that, if you want to have the other side of that, I think, if you're Joe Brady and you share an agent with Kellen Moore, and maybe if you know that things are leaning a little bit toward Kellen Moore, maybe you pull yourself out of the situation. I think maybe it makes sense to do that, to kind of not make it look like somebody was picked over you. That stuff kind of matters in today's NFL. You see a lot of people not taking, these interviews. And I think also, if you're Joe Brady, just the truth of the matter is, even if you were interested in it, or, interested in being a head coach, or you feel like you could interview better than Kellen Moore and get a job over him, if you're Joe Brady, you're the offensive coordinator of the Bills, you got Josh Allen, you're going to be right back there next year. I don't think it's a Bobby Slowick situation where the bottom falls out on anything. You're possibly the best option on the market a year from now, and you can go somewhere and get your Caleb Williams or your Trevor Lawrence or whatever. You don't have to tie yourself to negative $60 million in cap space and a short-term option in Derek Carr, and your best defensive players are older than you. I mean, I think that's probably part of the equation too. So for Joe, I think it makes a lot of sense to get out of there. I think it's a smart money move for him to drop out. But if you're the Saints, like, you have to look at it and say, why weren't we in a position to be able to attract him to even accept this interview? And, I think that's something that you have to do some real reflection on.
So, and a lot of times, Nick, speaking of reflecting, like truth versus perception doesn't necessarily always matter, right? And when you look at it, it's kind of impossible. Like it's a perfect storm of bad for Mickey Loomis. General public's already mad. They're already doubting him. They already don't believe in him. Then this all comes about. Then you have something unrelated but related in the Trent Baalke story, right? Where Liam Cohen says, no thanks, but secretly maybe letting it be known, I kind of don't like the GM. Okay, they get rid of the GM. Like, how much is this a Loomis problem specifically?
Well, I mean, no, not in the sense of that of where. And look, I know there's stuff that's been said, but I can only report what I know, and what I know doesn't lead me to believe that the rumors that are out there. I can't.
Again, no.
That.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's why I did the truth versus perception thing, right? Because it doesn't the truth can be whatever, but people are going to believe that. I think just because what went down with Baalke, how it went down, like you said, people say no to these second interviews in New Orleans. Fact that Mickey's been there forever, like it feels like a perfect storm of not good PR wise for Mickey right now.
Yeah, and like I was just trying to figure out how to word that, because like I don't want to say somebody's wrong, because I don't know what they know. All I know is I don't know what they know. I haven't been able to get anyone to confirm that. I haven't been able to hear anything, and somebody might just have better information than me, and that happens. Like it's possible, but I just can't sit here and say like that's the truth, because I don't know it, and most of what I've heard leads me in a different direction. But I will say that I don't think it's an issue in terms of that, but I think in an indirect but also direct way, like, yeah, if you have a situation that isn't attractive to somebody, it goes back to the general manager, and it goes back to the negative cap space, the roster that's getting old, the bad draft picks, not having the right quarterback to take you into the future. Like, all that stuff is a situation that is created by them. So if you can't get the candidate you want, like, I would say, yes, it is an issue related to him. And then also, if you're Aaron Glenn and you can choose alignment with your general manager, or like feeling like you're going to work for somebody, you're probably going to choose to go into that with somebody that you want to, that you're aligned with. And that isn't necessarily like hey, get them out of here, but hey, if I can choose between this and this, I'm going to do it with I'm going to go create with my guy. Like, I think that's something too. So, yeah, I mean, I think those things can be more attractive for certain people. On the flip side of that, you saw Ben Johnson choose to go work for Ryan Poles in Chicago, like, who's already there. So it isn't always that, but I think all things considered, if there's an even field and it's kind of a coin flip, you probably are going to go that way. So, yeah, I think all those things kind of lead back to that. It's a situation they created. Having said that, I think 3 years ago, when the perception of your team is quite different and you're more competitive and you have a better roster and all that stuff, like, I think that it was a much more attractive situation when they had Dennis Allen, and they probably could have went out and got pretty much anyone they wanted at that point in time, because it didn't feel so helpless. And that's just, I think as you look back on it, like, I think they missed a big window to take a very, very different swing of the bat at the time for maybe one of the top candidates. I don't know who it would have been at that time. I guess Kevin O'Connell, but I don't really remember him being like Ben Johnson at the time. But I think that's the one that you kind of missed on big time. So yeah, I mean, look, all of it falls back at the feet of the person. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same vein, but completely different vein at the same time as far as that Jacksonville comp.
So what does the timeline look like, Nick? Like, what's the last day that you think that the Saints are going to go without a head coach? Like, do you think it's this weekend? Because you mentioned it off the top, and we know we've been here for, 4 or 5 years in a row. Like, the Saints, they're the closest professional team to Mobile, Alabama. I mean, they send everybody to the Senior Bowl. And so, like, you don't have a head coach right now. Practice starts today, and I know you're going to have people here, but is it the right people? This is a big deal to be here. And so, like, with every day that passes, you feel like you're missing something. You're the only team that doesn't have a head coach right now. So, like, what's the deadline? Like, what day do we get to? Because it already feels like it's past the due date.
Well, I mean, if it's Kellen Moore, it's February 10th. So like
Yeah.
it's going to be a little bit. It would be about 2 more weeks if it's him. If it's not him, I think Mike McCarthy probably gets hired by the weekend. Like that would probably be my guess of how it plays out. That interview I think is supposed to happen end of the week. There was a plan in place. I think the word scheduled would be a little bit too strong, which is interesting. I asked about scheduled and it was pushed back. That's not the right word, planned. Like, so it seems like they were waiting to see how the Kellen Moore thing went to decide to schedule that. So that, I don't know, connecting dots, reading tea leaves, I could be completely wrong on that, but like that kind of this little thing there makes you think like, oh, like they aren't going to talk to him unless they feel like they need to talk to him. And that might indicate, what they're thinking with Kellen Moore at this point in time. So, yeah, I mean, look, it is definitely something where if you can have your guys in place, like you can scout something like this. You can take advantage of the interviews. You have your position coaches in here. If Jari Evans is part of your staff, he's working with the offensive lineman, and I think there's valuable insight in that. At the same time, though, I think you can make up for it. Your scouts are out here; they have the interviews. I think you just have to lean on them a little bit more, and I think you can still have a successful draft. But obviously, I think all hands on deck is a much better thing. But if Kellen Moore's the right guy, like it's just 2 weeks, and you can make up for it. So. Yeah, but it's definitely on a different timeline than everybody else, and it's just unsettling. Even if you knew, even if it was one of them situations where it's like, all right, like we know they're hiring Kellen Moore, but they can't officially do it. Just like they kind of know it's settled and it's all in place, and you have AG not coming down here and Joe Brady pulling out and Cliff Kingsbury, as far as we know, pulled out at this point. I haven't been able to get anything that says that he's taking this interview. That could obviously change and at a moment, but yeah, I mean, I think there's just like a lot of insecurity around this right now, just with kind of the way it's gone. It hasn't been a strong process, is how I would put it. It can still end up with a very, very good result, but yeah, to this point, I mean, I think it's just very, very discomforting kind of with how it's played out.
So real quick, and this can be a very simple answer if there's not much there. What is, do you have any details or explanation of the Saints being, quote, unenamored with Mike McCarthy? Or not enamored? I don't think unenamored's a word.
Hey, I'm sorry. You got me?
Oh, yeah, sorry, we got you again. Do you have any, and this could be, again, very quick if there's nothing there, but do you have any details on the Saints being not enamored with Mike McCarthy?
I don't think that's the truth.
Okay.
I don't think that's the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's the truth. I think that they haven't talked to him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it could be yeah, I guess there's definitely like a level of, we thought the interest was going to be a lot stronger than it is, but I think that he's just kind of like, where's Mike going to go? Like, that's kind of the thing right now. Like, what's he going to do? Like, there's nothing else for him to do. Like, you can afford to have him wait. And I think
True.
that they do like him. And I think there's people in the building that really like him a lot. I mean, before he even got out of Dallas, it was someone like, if he hits it, like, yeah, he's going to be somebody that we'll be interested in, was kind of the feedback that was coming out of that. But he doesn't have other options. Jacksonville got hired. I think before the Jacksonville hire happened, there was a little bit more momentum to like trying to get him into the building, because like I think there was a thought that he was going to maybe go there, and then they hire Liam Cohen, and it's just kind of like, all right, whatever. But I think they like him. I just don't think they like him as much as hey, top of the list, have to get this guy. I think it's like, yeah, like he's an option, but we like him as much as some of these other guys.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.